Hello, fellow creators. What if we could venture into the unknown? And by going into the unknown, we could create symmetry between our heart and our brain. And a lot of people think of these two as mutually exclusive. They're too much in the brain space, or they're too much in the heart space, they're too much left brain or right brain, in the intellectual side or just in the reaction side. What if we could create an environment where there's symmetry, where they're working together? Well, here's Dr. Joe Dispenza on how to do that.
Let's talk about how we create heart coherence. When people can sustain heart coherence just for a short amount of time, there's a resetting that takes place in the baseline of trauma. When people have traumatic events in their life that are shocking, that are related to betrayal or loss, we begin to become branded emotionally, and that trauma stays right in the survival center of the brain called the amygdala. But as we begin to reset our inner state and we begin to self-regulate, when the heart begins to open up and energy moves to the brain, there are fibers that run right up to the amygdala that begin to reset the baseline of trauma. In a matter of moments, the person starts to feel more like themselves. Now, elevated emotions like gratitude, love, joy, inspiration, peace, wholeness, trust, knowingness, patience, empowerment are selfless emotions that tend to open the heart. The survival emotions that we've been talking about over the last several episodes are related to those emotions of guilt and shame and unworthiness and anger and fear. They have nothing to do with heart-centered emotions. So then what if then the heart begins to become more coherent and it begins to send energy up to the brain through these fibers called afferent fibers? The vagus nerve, the primary nerve that's dominant in the parasympathetic nervous system, begins to reset the baseline of the brain, and when the heart becomes coherent, the brain becomes coherent. And when the brain starts to become coherent, the heart becomes coherent. How do we know that? Because when we look at a brain scan and we see a person beginning to become more orderly in their brain, we see the front of the brain beginning to resonate with the back of the brain. We see different communities of neurological networks beginning to form larger communities, and they begin to oscillate and resonate. And all of a sudden you see the left side of the brain talking to the right side of the brain. And if the person is connecting to that unified field, the signature of order and unity is beginning to become entrained in the nervous system. When this occurs, when you see the union of opposites, the union of polarity, the union of duality, all of a sudden when those two hemispheres come together and there's that psychic union, in that moment when the person feels whole, the heart begins to function more coherently. So then a coherent brain begins to produce a coherent heart. And a coherent heart amplifies energy and creates a coherent brain. So take a look at this person right here. Each one of these individual squares, these individual blocks, represent 5 minutes. And this is a person in a meditation, and we're asking that person to begin to elevate their emotional state. And for a little over 50 minutes, you can see from this graph that they're sustaining an extended period of time of heart coherence. Now, take a look at this last period of heart coherence. Now, this is the interesting thing. This person was not in a meditation when she was experiencing this level of heart coherence. And I asked her, what were you doing? She said, I was finishing my day, I was unpacking, it was 8 o'clock at night, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I felt this incredible feeling of love take over me. She said it was so intense, it was so powerful, that she had to lay on her back in bed and just surrender to the feeling. And for over an hour, she's relaxing into love. And 1,400 to 1,300 different chemicals are released in this state that begin to restore and repair the body. Now, we all know what a panic attack is. When a person keeps selecting the worst case scenario in their mind, and they begin to become so preoccupied with that probable outcome that they start to feel the emotions before it happens, they're combining an image or a thought with a feeling and an emotion. And over time, they're conditioning the body to become the mind of fear. And if they do that enough times, the body is going to have a panic attack. Try as they may to control it with their conscious mind, they can't because they programmed it subconsciously. Now take a look at this. 3 people sustaining heart coherence for 45 minutes. These people are developing the skill of self-regulation. And I want them to be able to do it with their eyes open as well as their eyes closed. They should be able to do it in their life. And they should be able to notice when they lose that feeling from their heart. And they should be able to excuse themselves from their day or from certain conditions and begin to recalibrate and begin to open their heart again. And in time then, they're going to become less reactionary to everyone and everything in their lives. And if they're not reacting, then they're no longer living in stress, and now the body can begin to regenerate and repair itself because it's now no longer living in emergency mode. Now, take a look at these people. This is a person with really weak heart, very little variability. And take a look, for a little over 15 minutes, this person is able to sustain heart coherence. For another 8 minutes or so, they're able to do it again. And to me, this is the beginning of a person changing their biology. Now, what is the significance of creating brain and heart coherence? Think about it. When you create heart coherence, you're emitting a measurable magnetic field. When you're creating brain coherence, you can put a thought or intent on that frequency. And when you do it properly now, you are broadcasting a very coherent signature of electromagnetism all around you. Once you create a coherent signature in the brain and the heart, now like a laser, you can begin to decode information in the field. And being able to control those frequencies, or your awareness in connecting to those frequencies, now it's like having a Wi-Fi signal where you can connect to energy and information. When the brain is incoherent, when the heart is incoherent, we experience separation and we have a poor signal, so we can't connect to the field to create from. And as the person begins to trade those survival emotions like anger and fear or pain for elevated emotions like gratitude, joy, and love, and they overcome the emotions that keep them bound to their past, present reality, and there's no longer a vibrational match between anyone or anything in their life, all of a sudden, as they overcome the emotions, they're going to take their attention off the person or problem. And now they're going to begin to weaken the energetic bonds with their past, present reality. And in a sense, if they're no longer feeling those emotions and they're no longer thinking about that person or problem, they are taking their power back and they begin to build their own electromagnetic field. And now they have energy to heal. Now they have energy to create a new future with. And now they're creating no longer from lack or separation, they're creating from wholeness or oneness. In other words, when they create, they feel like it's already happening. And so then when we get up from our meditations in this creative state, as long as we're feeling the emotions of our future in our heart, we're no longer looking for when it's going to happen or why it's going to happen, because you feel like it's already happened and you are connected to the energy of your future. And when we lose the energy of our future and we disconnect from it, now we're back to the energy of our past, and don't expect anything to change in your life. So it's not enough to just do this in your meditation. We have to sustain this modified state of mind and body our entire day. So then when there's a vibrational match between your energy and some future potential that already exists in the quantum field, and you're creating from the field instead of from matter, now we no longer have to go anywhere to get it. We will begin to collapse time and space and draw the experience to us. And now we'll begin to believe that we're more of the creators of our lives instead of the victim of our lives.
Welcome back, fellow creators. So I hope you see the power of creating heart coherence and then ultimately creating heart and brain coherence. So when we get out of the feelings and emotion of stress, anger, just feeling bogged down, we start to embrace gratitude, happiness and amazing emotions, we start to allow our heart to become stronger and to admit its own magnetic field. By doing that, by allowing the heart to really open up with these amazing emotions, especially something like gratitude, which allows your heart to just come beaming with energy. We can actually see the graphs, as Dr. Joe Dispenza said, of people who have a strong heart and a weak heart. And once our heart starts to change and we change our biology and create heart and brain coherence, then we are able to communicate with the field. We start creating from a place of oneness, a place of wholeness, where everything is possible, where all the possibilities that you want for the new you can come true. And we're doing this with an amazing feeling that we are whole, we are great, we are amazing just as we are, because we're grateful. By using emotions such as those, we allow ourselves to actually change our biology. Remember, fellow creators, your personality is your personal reality. So once we change our personality, our personal reality really does start to change through brain and heart coherence. So thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell, like the video, and leave me a comment below.